All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Learning Revolution, Thrive in EDU, Wednesdays. I am Rachelle Dene Poth. I've been having a great time with the last couple of, well, actually 15 weeks now, I think, having different guests come on talking about all things related to education, technology, anything, emerging trends and topics. And today I am really excited about this episode because my guest and I actually started a conversation about this very thing probably 3 years ago. We talked about it in a Voxer group. We met through Voxer, through EduMatch, and talked about having a show where we just spin a wheel for topics to discuss. And finally it has come to fruition and they are here today and we legitimately do have a wheel. So first, I would like to thank Justin and Dr. Toutoule for being here. If you could introduce yourselves. Justin, I will start with you.
All right, my name is Justin Schleider, ABC BBD, and I am a health and physical education teacher in Lawrence, New Jersey, second year at this school, so that's where I'm at. My interests are poetry, long walks on the beach, baking, and helping out poor old ladies across the road.
It was not what I expected you to say, but all very nice things. Thank you
I
for
can
being
be fair.
here.
I wrote a couple chapters in some books. I present nationally.
Stop it.
I've been a keynote and flown across the world to keynote. I've done some cool things, but none of it matters because nobody cares. They just want to know what we're going to say now.
Well, yes and no. People do care and they do want to know what we're going to say now. I'm very curious myself. So thank you. And Toutoule.
Hey everybody, Dr. Toutoule Ntoya. I also like long walks with my dog. I like playing basketball with my two little children. I enjoy dropping off food to the needy. I also enjoy making sure my windows are closed so the smoke doesn't get into my house. For real. I'm in Cali. I'm in Southern California. I live in Pasadena, and we've had the fires, if you've seen on the news here recently. And the whole city was full of smoke, so it's been an interesting time. I consult with schools, teacher, administrator. I got my doctoral degree at University of Southern California. I do a lot of work around STEAM integration, creating maker spaces, and really about authentically engaging our students and like real stuff, not stuff that they don't care about, because they may not care about what I have to teach, but they care about the authentic experience that they're going to have. So that's my spiel.
Yeah, well, that's a great spiel. So great to have you. And for anyone who is joining in, please let us know where you're joining from. If you have any questions for my two guests today, and we will get started. Justin, I created a wheel, and apparently it didn't. I shared it with both of them, but neither Toutoule nor I could see all of the things that Justin added to the wheel. So Justin needs to share. He has been, I think, adding more as we've been doing introductions. I can tell by, oh my goodness. So
can you see?
We can
see. Yes. And it's clear.
Boom, let's get this going. All right, you got the timer. We're going to throw it out there. Toutoule, you go first. Ready?
Yeah.
I'm going first.
Boom, it should pop up. Boom.
Equity within tech. Okay, so I have a little bit of time to talk about equity within tech. It's a big topic issue right now. And I think there's a lot of different ways, a lot of nuanced ways to talk about this. But for me, it's all about access, and it's all about representation and making sure that all of our kids have access to technology, but then also how can our kids see themselves and how the tech is represented, right? Like if I'm gonna create even something simple, let me tell you guys something. When I do a PowerPoint slide, I cannot find a black male image anywhere. And that's a problem, because once you start to think about it, you're like, wow, it's only a bunch of white guys who are doing or white women or whatever. I can't find any black males doing anything positive that I can put on my PowerPoint slide that represents me. So things like that is something that I'm really, really passionate about. And also creating equitable spaces in our tech space. Welcoming spaces within our tech space. What does a welcoming space look like for someone like me walking into a space and it's like I'm the only person who looks like me in the room, right? So how do I feel welcome in that space?
All right. So my turn. My idea for equity within technology is, what is society's responsibility in providing technology to our students? Where does the school district lie? Is high-speed internet something that the school will ensure it happens? And, around me, Comcast offers that for $9.99 a month for my low-income people. So is school now, with most people doing hybrid or completely virtual, where does that lie? Where does the school's responsibility lie in everyone having a piece of workable technology on there? Because right now you talk about the haves and the have-nots. The have-nots are given Chromebooks. I can't hear anything on Chromebooks right now. Between Google Meet and Zoom, you can't hear them talking. Too many issues. The kids with PCs, with Macs, with all that, suddenly they're able to be heard. So now I can have conversations. It's going more in depth and blah, 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 blah. So we're going to keep it moving. You ready for the next one, Toutoule?
Let's
go.
do it.
Rachelle, you jump in whenever you need to.
All right. And I will say that if anybody has questions, drop them in. Just make sure that they're going to everybody and not just to panelists so everybody can see them too. All right. Ooh, great topic.
There you go. So Maslow before Bloom. Love this one. You cannot teach kids before their basic needs are met. A hungry student, not going to be learning. A student who doesn't feel safe in your classroom psychologically cannot be taught. So here's the idea. Here's a study. You ready for this? Going to throw it out there to you, Mr. Doctor. The whole idea is, if you suspend a kid out of class, did you know that the rest of the class's test scores go down? Did you all know that? Think about that. Oh, we're kicking that kid out because suddenly he's a disruption to education, but the rest of the class's test scores go down. So again, how can we make sure that their basic needs are met before we start working from the neck up? I cede my time.
Okay, and I just got to ask, your crumpling paper, what's that about?
Listen, I got children. That's another one of the categories. We didn't get there yet. Go ahead, my man. Go.
Got it. Okay.
Got to keep
So
this fire.
I want to focus in on distant learning and what's happening across the Twitterverse, and how kids are being suspended for keeping their cameras off, being suspended for walking away, being suspended for what they wear. Sometimes, even as adults, we don't like having the camera on. If I have to get up and move my camera around because I got to go to a different part of the house where kids are yelling, and I'm turning my camera off because I don't want you to know that, to see that. If I got to go, change my little boy because he just, took a dump in his drawers, excuse my language, in his drawers, I don't want you seeing that. So I'm going to turn my camera off. I'm going to take care of my business, and I'm going to come back, and I might turn it back on. I might not. I don't know. Why don't we give kids that same liberty? Maybe they don't want you hearing about their little brother who yells all the time. Maybe they don't want you hearing mom fussing out people in the background. Let them turn it off. So we have to let them feel comfortable in the space and not punish them for it. Done.
Yeah, and I think that's not an either or, it's a both and, right? So sometimes we talk about, if you're doing a quick attendance, I want to see your face real quick. Just show me everything's good. We'll do a quick one and go. In the chat box, Denise is talking about the idea that they have to learn how to dress and be whatever. And I agree, we have to know what's appropriate and all that. And we have to realize there are a lot of homes that are not conducive to the camera. That's it. So there may be valid reasons. Take the kid in the breakout room, then maybe you go, it's just me and you. All right, let's see if we could talk and get your camera on or whatever. But requiring it, marking attendance because your camera's not on, saying you're not there, I'm not digging that.
How about this, Justin? Hey, I see Justin, your camera is on. I just want to see your face, bro. Put the camera on. Hey, good to see you, man. Just smile, turn it back off.
Thank you.
Done.
That's what I want to know. Rachelle, anything to add?
No, it's interesting to listen to your perspectives, because I know for me with my students, I really want to see their faces, especially the new students that I haven't had a chance to meet yet. And I totally get that they've been on camera all day, but I say, please, just at least for a little bit so we can have those interactions, so I can get to know you, and then giving them that space. But I see my time is up because we're on to the next topic.
I just got it ready. I want to get it ready so we can keep it moving. Toutoule, for you, bathroom breaks.
So
how are you operating them?
So when I was in the classroom, I was always the one who would get in trouble by the principal, because if a kid had to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. Maybe you're sick of hearing me for 25 minutes. Maybe your last teacher got on your nerves, and then I kind of get on you for something. You just need a break so you don't get in trouble. So you need to go to the bathroom. Maybe you need to go to the bathroom so you can text, whatever, and you don't want to be disruptive in class. I don't know. Go to the bathroom, handle your business, come back. Let's keep it going, right? But all this control over bathroom, I never subscribe to it. It's even worse in distant learning. Damn, you want to go to the bathroom? Go.
Don't ask. Why are you
Don't
putting
ask.
that
Just
in?
go.
Don't
Hey,
ask.
turn your camera off. Go to the bathroom. What you got to do and come back. Done.
Preach it. For me, I'm thinking this is why you have to get along with your colleagues, because sometimes you got to go in the middle of the day. You're teaching a class, you got to go.
Oh, yes.
Whatever reason. And I'm not saying number one, number two. I'm just saying you got to go. You got to have good colleagues. You got to have a system set up. Yo, can you come cover me? Rachelle,
I got one for you. Things that I knew when I started teaching to find a freaking bathroom buddy.
Yes. Boom. Write that down. We got to put that in the group. Rachelle, what do you have for us?
No, just exactly what you said. It made me laugh to think about, you know, your colleagues making sure, because it's hard to get to the restroom in between classes, and being able to decide, like, I need to go and excuse myself, but also students need to know how to go about doing that, to ask to excuse themselves in the classroom. Or, you set that up at the beginning of the year, like if it's an emergency and you're feeling sick or something, like, please go because we don't want you to be sick, or let us know so we can get you some help. So nope. Keep on going. Keep on spinning.
And Toutoule, I love what you said. Get out. If it could save me 30 minutes by you leaving for 2 minutes to come back, boom. I'll take that return on investment. Oh, we did it. We did it. You know what? Let's go to Rachelle over here. White male privilege. What do we got? What do you got?
On the spot. What you got?
Boom. Let's go, lady.
Do you not remember that this was like for you to kind of to talk about?
Okay, you want me to
No,
do
but I
it?
will say, well, the only thing that I will say, and this is over the course of the summer, doing a lot of reading and a lot of the issues that came to light, people having conversations, very uncomfortable conversations. And for me, I was on a panel earlier this summer talking about equity and racism. And it was initially uncomfortable for me to be part of that conversation because growing up, we didn't have those types of conversations. And so over the past, 4 months now, it has really been a period of time for me to learn a lot about what has been happening, about people's experiences, and to have different perspectives and viewpoints. So I'm still constantly learning, but also evaluating myself over the course of my life, like my own privilege, my friends, the people that I surround myself with, what experiences I'm providing for my students. That's kind of all I can speak to it. It's just, I'm evolving and learning about this on my own. So.
Toutoule, doctor, what you got?
So white male privilege. The thing I'm going to say is, people, white dudes who can't kind of get what this white male privilege is. There are things that white dudes can do that I could never do. Right. And you can dispute that all you want. It's all circumstantial. No, there are things that Justin and I were at a school together, there are things that he can do at his school that I couldn't do at that same school. If Justin and I were both principals, there are things that Justin can do as a principal of his school that I could never do. And that's that white male privilege. And Justin will be seen as someone who's tough. He's just really passionate about his kids. He's really passionate about his school. He just wants what's best. I do the same thing. I come off as being aggressive. I come off as being over the top. I come off as being disruptive. I come off as needing someone to kind of rein me in, right? So
can you soften your tone a little bit? It's a little harsh right now.
There we go. Justin, what you got? The white guy. What
So
the white guy got?
And this is all I know about white male privilege. I have never felt like I had to dress a certain way. I never felt like I had to speak a certain way. I never felt like the color of my skin got in the way of anything. Like I didn't get a job because of it. Wasn't held back because of it. I never felt like I was talked down to because of who I was and what I look like on the outside. That's all I know. That's all I have. So for me to hear the stories of people who, and I've even seen in meetings, I say the same thing that somebody else has said. And when I say it, they listen. Yet the person who wasn't the white man, they kind of ignore it. Meanwhile, I'm like, oh, did you hear what that lady said? It's a really good idea. We need to keep that, let's bring that back in the forefront. Suddenly I bring it up and it's a good idea. So for me, do I think that I got everything handed to me in life because I'm a white male? No, that's not what white male privilege is. There was no extra roadblocks put in my way because I'm white or because I'm a male. And I think that's the difference. You get people, I worked hard for my degree. I worked hard for it. It's not that you don't work hard. Everyone has to work hard. There's nothing extra put in front of it. I never had to prove myself above and beyond. Every space I enter, I'm automatically given the idea that I know what I'm talking about and I've never had anything questioned on me. And a lot of that is because of there. So
Dustin, I got a question for you.
sure, what's up?
You've never felt the need to have to dress a certain
Never.
way for every situation?
Never.
That's
I could wear,
crazy.
when I tell you, now some of it might be phys ed world, because when they go, oh, well, he's a health and phys ed teacher, blah, blah.
But you've been to conferences. No, you've been to conferences and stuff like that.
Never. I never dressed up for conferences. I never have to,
Wow.
when I present, I don't wear a tie. I don't, it's never, and I'm talking in principals conferences, admin, boards of ed. I think I threw a collar on for my last board of ed meeting though, but I had shorts on, but nobody could see that. I was on these.
Yeah, I would never. I talked
had
about
a
this
collar
with
on.
I talked about this with another black male educator. Like, do you wear like your sneakers or do you wear like some loafers? The default is always loafers. If I ever have to think about it, I'm putting the loafers on. Always.
Yeah. So, Rachelle, anything to add before we keep it moving?
Nope. Keep on going.
Thirdly, and anything you want to jump in? She had a question about doesn't that go both ways? Talk to me about this.
Thank you. In my own experience going to a college that was very diverse, in fact, I was a minority, I missed out on a lot of scholarship opportunities because of my color.
Mm.
And a lot of consideration where I would be overlooked in favor of someone of color.
So my question to you, because a lot of this is anecdotal, like there are probably other black male educators who are like, oh, I've never had to worry about my dress. But if we were to take a landscape of most educators across the country, I'm wondering how many white educators have your experience versus Justin's experience?
Well, since I'm still teaching at a college, we've all had similar experiences. And because I went to grad school later in life, maybe it was more exacerbated or emphasized or noticeable. Also because my college population was mostly people of color, which I thought was a privilege for me. I sure learned a lot.
And it is. So
yeah,
I guess,
it was.
yeah, my question is, when you look at history, so let's say that if that's true now, that the pendulum starting to swing back a little bit, how much does this country owe when it talks to how many years have we kept black and brown people out? And I mean, even women up until, Title IX got passed through, which was supposed to help black and brown people, but really helped white women more than anyone. Where does the country, how much do we owe in order to catch people up to where we should be? And I think that's the problem. And then you have to go, well, if that's true, then what you're saying, Justin, is that white people are now going to have that as a roadblock, right? Like having white skin is now going to be a bit of a roadblock if that's true, that we need to start giving black and brown people more of an opportunity. And the idea there is because white people have been overrepresented so much in the past that now when it's going back to regular representation, we look at it and we go, you know what? This isn't fair. This isn't right. But then we go, well, in the history of America, we have kept so many people out and given the opportunities that we need to start going the other way at some point. And I'll tell you personally, I went for an admin job that I was in a school for 7-8 years. A new superintendent came in and I went for the admin job, and a black lady who came from another district went for the job. So we were the two finalists, and the black lady got the job, right? I did not get the job. Now, I don't think it wasn't a skin color issue, but to me, my thought process was, you know what? That if I'm about this life, then I have to say, this is fantastic that somebody of color got that. What does that mean? It means I have to give up something. And that's where a lot of white people aren't willing to do. And I'm not saying that's you in your case at all, but I'm saying that when we look and say, okay, how do we get more black and brown people into admin roles? How do we get more women into admin roles? You know what's going to happen? Dudes like myself, with the degree, with the experience that I have, we're going to have to take that back burner. And most of us don't want to give it up. And that's just the sad fact over there. So,
that's what
I get it. I understand. But at some point, white people got to step up and say, we need to move the next group forward if this is what we're really about. And yeah, it's going to be unfair to us. But when we look at history, at some point. We already did cameras on, right, Toutoule? Right? Didn't we do cameras on? We don't need to talk more about cameras on.
Oh yeah,
Let's
we did.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Oh, here we go. Did we do bathroom breaks? We already did bathroom breaks. I wish the
did bathroom
wheel would
breaks.
just take it
No,
out after.
yeah, you have to remove, bro. What you doing? You have to
Where's
remove.
remove? Where's remove? I didn't
It
even.
was right next to it.
Oh, I'm a dummy.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Ready? So remove it. Boom. All right. So now we're good. See, this is my
There we
first
go.
time doing any of this stuff.
There we
Rochelle, you
go.
didn't tell me about
There
that.
we go. Don't blame Rachelle.
It's all
Rochelle
Rochelle's
has
fault.
nothing
Listen,
to do
that's
with
what we do.
She
We
has nothing.
deflect. So now we're going to get rid of this one too. We're going to keep it going. We're going to land on it. The odds are with us. The odds are always in our favor. Right? Isn't that what they say in whatever movie? Oh, why? It must love the subjects we already did. Here we go. Remove. I promise you. We're going to do one more, then I'm just going to pick one. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, my. Oh, my. We already.
David said, what to eat for 500.
What to eat?
All right, let's do it.
Eat.
Let's do it. What to eat? Go. You go.
Let me see. Fruits, vegetables.
Okay.
That's on my that's on my thing. Making sure that I'm eating, properly. What you got, Justin?
All right, I'm going to say that I make really poor health decisions when I'm teaching. When I'm at school, I eat whatever's in that teacher's room. Whatever you had a party that weekend and you brought that stale cake in, I'm eating that with my cup of coffee. I make such poor health decisions when I'm in the room that it's horrible. It is absolutely brutal. Rachelle, what are you thinking about what to eat
Oh
in
my gosh.
any vein?
I don't even know, but all I have to say is that I tried to stream this out live on YouTube and it didn't work, but now it just started on Facebook. So
We're on
I don't
Facebook,
know.
y'all.
Yeah. I don't know. Now you got me like thinking about food. I'm hungry, but I try to eat healthy, but I found that since school has been in this
Pop-Tarts.
format online, that I have definitely not been able to eat as much throughout the day as opposed to in the spring. I wasn't visiting the refrigerator as much. So anyway, Wednesday, Taco Tuesday. Oh my goodness.
Love it. All right, we got the next one ready. Ready,
Right.
Rachelle, you're going to start first. Money versus respect. Which one do you want more as a teacher? Pick it.
Respect.
Respect.
I've always been about, the money's nice, but it's about how you treat people. It's about the relationships, connections, and that is always really important to me. So my time is valuable, and I think it's so important. Like honesty, respect are very important. So thank you for starting with me. I'm supposed to just be the moderator, but all right.
Doctor.
Can we make sure Val Brown gets in the room though? I saw that
She's
Yeah.
in. She's in. She's
I'd
on
like
the
that
bottom.
in.
She's the bottom.
Val
square
Brown. What up?
Hey,
Okay.
and it's her
so
birthday. And it's her
It's your birthday, yo. So okay,
spending the time with us.
we need to turn up. We need to turn up, right? We got to turn up. Okay, so the politically correct answer would be respect. We all want respect because I'm gonna say money because I can buy the respect. Give me the money.
That's what I'm talking about. Give me the money. I got 2 jobs. I got 4 jobs. Literally, I'm not even messing around. I got like 4 jobs, 3 kids, 1 wife. I need money. I will look in the mirror. I'll respect myself when I pay my bills on time. I'm getting late. That's what we need. All right, here we go.
Val, know how you got in either, but you here with me and Justin. You missed the whole beginning of this.
Adultification.
Okay,
You
you're
want
starting
me-
on this one.
You want me to do this?
Yeah,
All right.
you're starting.
Adultification, and this, I believe, and Val can correct me on this, is the idea that we treat Black girls like they're older than they are. My school is 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and I'm not gonna lie, some of the Black girls in my school look like they could drive, right? Straight up, they look like they look older than the 12 years old that they are, than the 13 they are, the 11 they are. And when we look at somebody and we go, you look a certain way, or we treat you there, then we expect things from them that's just not right. I cannot expect an 11 or 12-year-old to be emotionally super savvy and be even keeled all the time. There's going to be up and downs. They're going to be upset about the conversation they overheard in the hallway. They're going to be upset about the little breakup that they just had that in my life means 0, but to them means a lot. So again, how do we take the idea that even if somebody looks older than they are, but specifically if we know the Black girls are treated like they're older than they are, how do we make sure that we combat that in our classroom? Doctor?
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. A kid is a kid, whether they're in elementary school, middle school, or even high school. They're still kids. We have to understand that. We have to understand impulse control. We have to understand that they don't emotionally, they're not quite there yet. So they're going to say things, they're going to do things. And do we, and more importantly, are we treating kids differently? Are we treating our Black girls differently than we're treating the rest of our student population? If you don't think it happens, it happens. It happens. And some of it is
there.
some of it
That is
is
there.
some of it is subconscious, some of it is very conscious, but we have to address it. We have to understand it. And if you don't understand it, you don't address it, then you don't understand when you're doing it, right? And when you see yourself doing it, you're like, oh my gosh, we just had this adultification thing that someone talked about in some two crazy guys in the podcast talked about, and I'm doing it now. How do I step back and remedy the situation? Because it happens, it's a thing, and it's very real.
Nice. Rachelle, anything to add?
Oh, sorry. No, because this is something that is completely new to me. So I was looking to both of you to inform me about it. So.
Yeah, look it up, people. Look it up. Do a little reading, see what you come across. And again, it's all about metacognition. Oh, here we go.
I saw bad breath on there. I saw bad breath.
Bad breath.
What do you mean?
What do we do? What do we do when we have a student with bad breath, a colleague with bad breath that gets all up in our area? What do you do about bad breath?
I ain't got it. I know what I could do for me. I had a professor in college who always had like mints. He'd always, before he started talking, he put the mint. I was like, oh, okay, that works. So I try to do the same thing, drink a lot of water and all that good stuff. But like bad breath colleagues, I don't know, move away, move to another side of the room. Don't sit next to them. I ain't got it, Justin.
Stop. I'm just saying halitosis is real and you got to be careful. And you got to have a friend who tells you when your breath be stinking. And that's why when you hang out with me, we always have distance. And I was distancing before social distancing was cool because I don't want you to smell my breath. I got coffee. I'm eating whole wheat everything, bagels in the morning. My breath is rancid. Don't get too close to me. Rachelle?
Actually having a mint in your room that you can always like offer no matter what. Want a mint? Just so people can feel comfortable. I feel that.
I can't believe that you put that on the wheel. First of all, because Toutoule and I were surprised by it, but the coffee thing is a good point because I've had students, like I would drink caramel coffee and it's not because of the breath, but they could smell it. And they said, you just smell like caramel. And I said, well, I actually spilled it on myself. So, ooh, this is a good one.
It's a good smell.
All right. It's a good smell.
Giving zeros. Who wants to take it?
So grades, right? This whole idea of grading and giving a kid a 0, like, why? I don't know. What's the purpose of the 0? It's so demoralizing, so demeaning. I get it. You're mad that the kid just turned in like one sentence, whatever. And sometimes, especially in high school, you're just like, he's just doing this on purpose to get under my skin. Here's your big fat 0. Get back at you. But I think at the end of the day, we got to take a step back and really think about what that 0 means. And can the kid help him? Can the kid like do something about the 0? That's the thing. They don't turn something in, fine. They didn't turn it in. Yeah, I give them a 0. You turn nothing in. But will they have an opportunity to rectify the 0? That's my big thing.
So here's the idea, right, about grading. You want to know by the end of your market period, semester, trimester, did they master whatever the skills are that you had them do? How does a 0 help you do that? It doesn't. Can you come back from a 0? 0 and 100, now you got 2 assignments, they got a 50. I mean, it's brutal. So for me, the idea is I will give you redos. I will give you as much time to do what you need to do on there. I personally don't think my job is to teach you responsibility. I don't have standards that say responsibility. Some teachers think that's part of it. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to teach about responsibility, but you don't care about teaching about them being good citizens outside of school. So you're not going to bring any social justice in your classroom, but you're going to give a 0 to teach the responsibility because you got to hand it in on time. And if you don't pay your credit card bill on time, you get a fee. I get it. You could give a little something and say, hey, maybe you got a 95. I'm not going to give you the 100. You get a little couple points off. But if my goal is to have them master whatever it is I want them to master, by the end of whatever it is, we have to give them multiple chances, multiple times. I need that in life. Maybe it's because I'm a hot mess in life. I need that myself. So I think that's a bit of the problem as well. So I feel like I don't want to be super tough because I'm always asking, can I get an extension? Can you help me? Can you do this? So I think that the 0 to me is a long policy that needs to get rid of. if you're giving out your 50s, you could still come back from a 50, but you ain't coming back from a 0. That's like that TKO. That's that Mike Tyson uppercut. You ain't getting up again. Rochelle?
I taught, before you go, Rachelle, I taught with the teacher, Mr. Grund, best math teacher, one of the best math teachers I ever had a chance to teach with. He said, at the end of the day, is the kid going to remember that he didn't do his assignment, or is the teacher going to remember, or the student going to remember that you were fair? The student's probably going to remember when he's like 20, 25, 30, that you were fair to him and you gave him a shot. And that's really what it's about to me. Rachelle, what you got?
Well, I will say, and I'm all about honesty anymore when it comes to like how I've changed my teaching. There were so many things that I was wrong about and that I've learned differently. And one of them was I was giving zeros because when I was in school, I was given zeros, or students were given zeros. And so I was teaching how I had been taught. But over the years, I've definitely gotten away from that. And you're right. Like if you have a project that's 100 points, and the kid turns it in late, I mean, reduce the points. If they never turn it in, you know, like there's both sides, you go back and forth. But I will tell you something funny that happened last year is I had a student who did not complete a project. And so it was a 0 in the grade book because nothing had been turned in. And there were like 4 days in class to work on it. And 3 months goes by and the student comes in and says, so I need to talk to you about that project. And I said, you mean the one that you didn't do? And the student said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, I got a 0. And I said, yep, but you didn't turn it in. And the student said, but I submitted it last night. I said, yeah, but it was due 3 months ago. And they said, I don't really see why that matters. And I cracked up because I thought, I was like, I said, you do realize that like if you were working a job and you had a project or assignment from 3 months prior, like you would be showing up at a job and you probably didn't have the job anymore. But
funny.
It just made me laugh. And I said, you know what, elaborate on that. And the student said, well, I understand. It's not that I didn't understand the material. It's not that I didn't have the time. I didn't do it. I know all of it. I know the vocab. He said, I didn't do it. And I said, well, let this be kind of a lesson. When you do have projects and things now and in school or later on in life, you will have deadlines that you have to work with. And of course, sometimes things happen and you don't meet that deadline, but 3 months going by is a little bit different. But every time I think about it, I laugh because in all of my years of teaching, I've never had a student say like, I don't really know why that matters. And it made me stop and think for a second, okay, what is the most important here? Right. So anyway,
and we also don't want 25 projects handed in the night before my grades are due. Like while I'm getting my grade book in, I can't look through 25 10-page projects or whatever it is y'all do out there. I don't do that. All right, let's keep it moving. Here we go. Oh, here we go. This is Tech Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself. So my idea behind this was, what is your responsibility in your knowledge of technology in the classroom? What is your responsibility, Doctor?
Okay. Before it was none, right? Because I've worked with schools and they had a big tech initiative and teachers were still not using tech. I mean, no judgment on my part, but they just weren't using it. Now you have no choice. There is no choice around tech. You've got to use the tech. You've got to feel comfortable with the tech. Even if you feel that it's not your place, you got to feel comfortable with the tech. You've got to know what works. And you don't have to know all of it. Even like, I do a lot of stuff with tech and there's stuff that I just don't, whatever. But you've got to have something that you're really good at, that you feel good about, and then just scaffold on top of that. It's like, I always say tech is like a knife. You have a knife for everything, right? You have a butter knife. You have a knife when you want to, cut your steak. You have a knife when you want to cut bread, right? You have all these different knives. And as professionals, we need more knives than the average person, right? The average person who needs tech. So you need to have your tech belt like getting more robust right now, because the more you have, the easier to me this environment becomes that we're working in.
Yeah, and it's funny because when the technology boom hit and some of the older teachers were fighting it, and then I would see some of the stuff on Twitter where like, just because you know technology doesn't make you a great teacher. 100% agree with all of that. I will say that now, if you don't know technology, it's really hard to be a great teacher. In this present moment, we're hybrid, we're virtual, it's very, very difficult. The tech's got to do something though. It's got to solve a problem or make your life easier. gotta have one of those two things. You can't be tech just for the knowledge of tech. So again, I use Seesaw, Google Classroom, Edpuzzle, and Zoom. Those are like my 4 main knives in my knife case that I bring out. With those 4 tools, I'm able to do a lot, like a super duper lot. I can get everything accomplished that I want to get accomplished. So I think that you have to figure out nowadays, what do I need to be a really effective teacher? Not effective according to your admin, not effective according to anyone but you and your students. What do I need to have in my technology tool belt? What knives do I have to have sharpened in order to get across what I need? And for me, it's got to be a way to disseminate information in a way that's easy. Google Classroom does that. Between the due dates, the links, creating folders, it makes everything really easy. You're going to need a way to assess that's super easy and the kids can get without too much work. That's going to be Seesaw for me. And also the digital portfolio. It's got to be engaging. Edpuzzle. I'm not just showing a video to show a video. Questions are embedded in there. So I'm feeling all that away. And then I have to be able to meet you now. I can't even see you anymore. So I need to know Zoom. Zoom inside now. And you can say Google Meet or one of the other ones. So I feel like you got to be really intentional with your tech because there is so much garbage out there. You can't just be like a million different things. Rachelle, what you got?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I crack up at this topic, how you wrote that, but it's true. I mean, it was the biggest, noisiest, worst form of a wake-up call that we didn't actually want in the spring when schools closed and having to adopt this kind of experience for our students, for ourselves. And now here we are, the new school year, and we all have to kind of embrace some form of learning online, either fully distance, hybrid, or even in person. There are probably still things being used. And so teachers need to use technology because our students are going to need technology. But the idea is not to take in all of the things, so it's overwhelming, but to find a few tools, like you say, that work for you, that enable you to do a lot of different things. And I think that's what's most important. And the nice thing is that with so many of the tools out there, the learning curve is not steep. They have already made templates or lessons and things to look at that you really just need to understand. Privacy, security, safety for students, the access, of course, is super important, number one, and how you can use it. And the ones that you mentioned, I know I use Edpuzzle, not just like, hey, watch the video. I mean, having students be interacting in more of an experience rather than like, yeah, I watched the video when they really didn't. I actually used it today for classes too. So nope, right with you on that one.
And thirdly, and if you ever need any help with it, reach out to me. We could do one-on-one, go on there. It's not difficult. It's literally just getting started. That's the hardest thing. All right, we got one more topic, maybe 2. We'll see, because I know we got to be out of here in a little bit.
I want politics in the classroom.
Oh, then let's just go there. Let's close it. Go to the politics. See, this is what we could do, Toutoule.
That's what I
Let's
want.
go, kid. Bring us away. Politics in the classroom.
Now, this may be a little controversial, right?
Go.
But I don't care. I'm here for it.
Uh-oh.
It seems like politics in the classroom has turned into a dividing racial issue, right? Because we don't talk about when we talk about slavery and how slavery is taught in the classroom, right? We don't talk about politics then. When we talk about other things that we teach in the classroom, we don't talk about politics. But as soon as we start talking about, you know, we want to teach more things about the 1619 Project, oh, don't talk about politics in the classroom. When we start talking about Black Lives Matter, oh, don't bring politics in the classroom. Why is it that when we're talking about some of these issues that are impacting Black and brown communities, politics in the classroom comes up? When we talk about other things that's been disparaging the Black and brown communities, we don't talk about, it's not the same thing. I don't know. That just seems when I hear it, and when people talk about politics, it always comes on the heels of some type of issue that's concerning Black and brown communities.
So my thoughts on politics in the classroom is, if you're not explicit about talking about politics in the classroom, then what happens is you are teaching the default. And the default in our school system is whiteness and white supremacy. And let me give you some examples. I'll start in my phys ed world. So if I go with just the sports and activities that we teach here, it's all Eurocentric North America, default white. If I go in health and I teach what's there without bringing politics, you look at the food plate. Even the foods that we tell people are healthy are defaulting to whiteness. So when we don't bring politics to the forefront explicitly, then what happens is by default, we bring politics in as whiteness, as the status quo, as the hegemony, right? As what the majority is, and the majority is white. And that's what we've always taught. So the idea of manifest destiny, right? We get taught that. Hold on, we were destined to kill a bunch of people and take all their land. That's what you're telling me. But if you don't put it in those political terms, then it's been whitewashed so long. So for me, the idea is no matter what you do, you're doing politics in the classroom. You just got to figure out what's the politics that you want to do. Do you want to go for the kids that are being the most harmed? Do you want to tell the other groups that who usually don't hear the stuff exactly what is going on in our history and try to bring it into them and tie them and make your black and brown kids feel welcome in the classroom? Or do you want to try to ignore it, pretend that you're politically neutral and default to whiteness? Those are the two options. So that's what I hear. Keep politics out is default to whiteness. That's to me what I hear.
And that's what it is. And again, I'm sorry, I did just a time to chime in. The stories of the folks in your classroom, the stories of the Black students in your classroom, the stories of the Native American students in your classroom, those stories aren't being told in this American space. Like you said, Justin, is just the white story. And we're comfortable with the white story. But when we start talking about slavery and how it really impacted people, you know, the people who were brought over, how did it impact them and how it impacted those communities going forward? Now we're talking about politics, right? And if we don't want to talk about those things, we're not telling the whole story. We're just kind of telling around the periphery and the things that we feel comfortable with, but we're not talking about what's really what really happened and how other people's stories is told, just a specific subset of people.
Rachelle. Yeah, I got to get that book, Lies My Teacher Told Me. And Rachelle, I know we are out of time. I know we said 4:45. It is 4:46. You want to wrap us up, lady?
I have had so much fun doing this. I haven't even had to do anything other than just listen to you and wonder what was going to be on that wheel. But what I'm noticing is that we have a lot of other topics that are still on the wheel, which means we're going to have to actually do this again, because since we've talked about this for how many years? I mean, it was, I think, 3 years ago,
gotta be
right?
3 years. Yeah.
And here we are. It happened. And even though the wheel that I made, I don't know what happened to it, and Toutoule didn't see it, but somehow yours full of topics. So
that's what happens when you let me be in charge of anything.
I know.
You get bad breath. You get all kinds of stuff in there.
So, yeah. But I think it's, thank you, Val. It's good because there are a lot of topics out there. And I think it's important to just, have a space where we can kind of laugh, but talk about important and serious topics and have this interaction where people can join in and they can put comments or put their questions in or even talk and join with us.
Yeah,
so I thank everybody for joining in today, and hopefully everybody joins again every Wednesday. I do have some guests lined up for the next couple of weeks. Next week, I have a woman joining from IBM who's going to talk about what a survey was that they did about preparing students for the future. So that will be exciting. And then I have a couple of guests coming after that. But I'm hoping that I can convince these two to come back on again in the not too distant future. So we can continue the conversation, because it was was a lot of fun. And I didn't know about how the wheel would go when I made it, but it didn't matter because Justin totally took it over and made it his own. And thank you.
White males, that's what we do.
Just take it over. Just freaking take it over. I don't care who started it. I'm just going to take it and do what I got to do.
Colonize it and take credit for it.
Colonizer.
I don't know.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate the time. Thanks for showing up, everybody.
And it was